It is my pleasure this year to be the keynote speaker at the Port Harcourt Tech Expo 2024. My particular talk is titled Cybersecurity Artificial Intelligence. And I believe this is important for Nigeria, as Nigeria is the first in so many things in the African continent. At the moment, Nigeria has the largest population with slightly over 200 million people. By 2100, Nigeria is expected to have 400 million. The largest economy is in Nigeria for Africa. The quickest growing digital economy in Africa is Nigeria. And who can forget about the booming entertainment industry known as Nollywood? So there are so many things that are occurring in Nigeria at the moment, and hopefully will continue to occur and grow as time progresses. But what does this mean? This means that Nigeria needs to strongly consider cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, as these two items are shaping the global economy. So my name is Dr. Maurice Dawson. I'm a professor at the Illinois Institute of Technology, and I'm the director for the Center for Cybersecurity and Forensic Education. My background is a doctorate of computer science from Colorado Technical University, a PhD in hyperconnectivity, intricacies of national and international cybersecurities from the Intelligence System Research Center at London Metropolitan University in the UK. Additionally, I have a postdoc from Portugal. A lot of my research has been focused on a number of countries across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, where I continue to understand how do developing countries deal with cybersecurity and other emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence. The center that I manage in Chicago, it is a national center of academic excellence from the National Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security. What this means is that our curriculum is truly aligned with what the federal government wants for students to learn to be effective in cybersecurity. For example, they may have a role as a security analyst. That particular role is mapped directly into core subjects, right? And not just the core subject, but the items contained in the courses, the curriculum, right? Maybe week 5 will say, you need to understand cryptography, and not just understand it, but know the applied approach and not just the theoretical. Other partnerships include the North American Aerospace Defense Command, United States Strategic Command, US STRATCOM, North American and Security Academic Alliance. We are also part of the Academic Engagement Network with the United States Cyber Command. We have a relationship with US Army Cyber Command. So out of 11 combatant commands, we have 2 active partnerships. And this is really important when I go further on, and you can see how that relationship drives curriculum and stuff like that. What is cybersecurity, right? That's the looming question. What is cybersecurity? So cybersecurity is the art of protecting networks, devices, and data from unauthorized access or criminal use, and the practice of ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. This is known as the CIA triad. Confidentiality, what does that mean? That means that if information has a particular classification, then only those who have the appropriate clearance should see that information. This comes from the military's viewpoint of data classification and who should have access to it. Integrity. I send you a message. How are you sure that message is from me, right? That's one thing. How are you sure the message is from me? How are you sure that the contents of the message have not been altered as well? So integrity is important, especially we're in a data-driven society. You have to make sure the data is what it should be. And then you have availability information. So if you're a bank, right? You're a bank, you're doing thousands or millions of transactions per day, digital transactions per day. If the bank systems are unavailable, then your system is useless. So you have to ensure that that particular system is available. Extremely important. And when you think about the application in cybersecurity, right? I just mentioned email, smartphones. Nigeria has one of the highest use of mobile devices, from Lagos all the way to the north. Right? Everyone has mobile devices, no matter where in Nigeria. Surrounding countries have mobile devices. What that means is that mobile devices become part of the threat landscape, meaning an attacker could send a malware through the mobile device that could affect others. And then you look at other items, such as social media. For those that are using Instagram, TikTok, social media is now part of the threat landscape. Individuals can take advantage of Facebook posts. They can say, hey, they can embed items that are malware, or they can redirect you to a site to click on a particular link using a social media. Navigation systems, right? So when you're driving from Calabar to Lagos and you're like, I am going to use a map, right? You're going to use a particular application that, gives you directions. Imagine that map, that application has been altered in a manner that does not take you along your route. It actually takes you to an area that is deemed dangerous, right? Known for activity, but you don't understand this. You just see the app, and the app says, all right, I need to get here in so many hours. You start your drive in Calabar, you drive to Lagos, and then you are in an area that you should not be in. Shopping. Now, this is a big one because a lot of people love to shop online. In the States, when we buy clothing, we use a lot of apps to purchase items back in Nigeria, right? So imagine we're talking about exchange from dollars to naira. We're sending a lot of bank information. Additionally, information that is just about us. If we're getting clothes made, we're giving measurements. So all these things, it may be insignificant when you think of them in the higher level, but these all provide detailed information about an individual, where they live, their age, height, weight, credit card information, all this stuff that can be used to create a profile, or it can be replicated to go create purchases as well on behalf of the nefarious actor. Medical equipment. Whenever you get sick, you go to the hospital, imagine if that medical equipment is faulty because something's wrong. Something's wrong with the system and the calculation, right? You need that system to perhaps keep you alive. But now that ventilator no longer works because something has occurred and now the embedded operating system is malfunctioning. So the importance of cybersecurity is vital. It's vital to the protection of critical infrastructure. There are 16 sectors. Banking is one. Advanced manufacturing is another. Education is another. When you think about railways and things of that nature, that's part of critical infrastructure. My postdoctoral studies in Portugal, they were tied around cyber warfare. And so when you think about cyber warfare, there are 5 different spheres of warfare. You have land, you have air, you have space, and you have maritime. Now, cyber is what connects all 4 of these together, right? Cyber goes through all 4 of these. You think about space, satellites. Every country is putting up their own satellites. Imagine if there's an issue with getting imagery from the satellite. Or there's other malfunctions that do not allow for communication on the ground. You enjoy these mobile devices, right? So you're using your mobile phone, but all of a sudden you can't send that message. You're trying to use WhatsApp, but there's no internet connection. Everything was set up for your 4G or 5G, but you can't do anything because now you have issues due to a malfunction in the satellite. You think about air. So you're flying from one location to the next. And a lot of these cockpits, they're glass cockpits, meaning they're digital. If you have a software error in the actual cockpit, that system's not going to fly. And if it does, be afraid if it lands. So now you think about, wow, cybersecurity can affect even transportation via the air from one state to another. Land, I gave an example when I talked about, traveling from Port to Lagos, but EV cars. Everybody is concerned with climate change, effects that carbon has on the environment. So a number of countries have initiatives to go towards clean or green energy. So now you come with electric vehicles. So these vehicles are highly computerized. So many computerized parts, more than the gas counterparts. Now, imagine if there is an attack on these vehicles. These vehicles can be driverless up to a particular point. So now you're in a vehicle and someone else takes control of that vehicle. They lock you in the vehicle. You're a very important person or VIP, right? Your convoy is electric vehicles. Your particular navigation system is being shared to the world. So you should be, per se, let's just say hidden, right? No one should know if you're a VIP, if you're traveling from one state or city to the next. It should not be public information. But because you are using this particular vehicle, and this vehicle is sharing information out, and it has a particular malware or someone is taking advantage of the system, they escalated privileges, as they say, they've gained entry, they've escalated their privileges, they can now see every move that you're doing. Maritime, think about ships, you can think about offshore drilling. These are all part of maritime that do pose issues. When you think about cyber warfare and critical infrastructure, you could think about your largest product, right? Your largest product is oil. So imagine as these sites become more and more digitized, that they're also going to be vulnerable, right? The output can be changed drastically. So imagine if the machines that need to drill are not working. Imagine how much the country will lose because of that. And that actually has happened to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Aramco went through a major cyber attack where they had to fly in fresh servers into the country to address the issue. They spent lots of money to address this issue and to make sure that they are secure. Right? So you got to think about that. Like, what does this cyber warfare environment mean to you as Nigerians? And then what does it really mean to the government? How will the government be affected? And then if the government's affected, then obviously the citizens will be affected as well. Now, with COVID brought forth a number of changes. In the United States and around the world, COVID forced a number of people to work from home. So individuals that would work from the office, they didn't really have to worry about cybersecurity as much, right? And when I say that as much, I mean that their particular organization had controls in place that said, hey, you're logging to our network, we have a firewall, we have these network appliances to keep you safe to a particular point. Now, when individuals had to leave the office and work from home, that particular security environment was not set up. And this made individuals extremely vulnerable and targets for new cybercrimes, social engineering in particular. Now, one of the items that has occurred, especially since people are coming back to the office, is BYOD. BYOD is bring your own device. Now you bring your own laptop, you bring your own mobile device, and now you bring that to work. However, this device, this personal device, is not secure. And so this device, we'll say it makes up your personal area network, your space, a couple feet around you. You bring it into your institution, and we'll say your institution has what's called a campus area network. And if that device is trusted, you are now bringing a device that contains malware into the organization because it's trusted, right? There's no zero trust architecture implemented in that organization. Imagine if the organization is in Abuja, where all the government is at, right? And when I say the government, I'm talking about the large ministries and stuff like that. They're all in Abuja. So imagine someone has taken a trip. They went to Kano, they've taken a trip, they downloaded a number of apps, and they didn't realize that the particular app they downloaded contained malicious content. They go back to Abuja, they go into their ministry, they start using their mobile device to send messages to them, and now they've just introduced malware into the government system. And it's not far-fetched what I just said. This is something that can easily happen. That particular scenario happens everywhere. Happens in the United States. It happens in European countries. It is something that happens a lot. Now, social engineering is one of the, I guess, cheapest ways to do an attack. And you look in terms of effort, there are numerous ways that you can do social engineering. When I talk about artificial intelligence in a little bit, I will talk and address how artificial intelligence can allow someone to really take advantage of social engineering attacks. Now, when you look here and you see all these attacks, I will bring up the 419 scam, right? So that is the penal code for a group that does these particular scams, email scams and stuff like that. Email scams, romance scams, that is the penal code for that. That is simply social engineering. That's all that is, right? And so when I mentioned a mobile device, that mobile device could have spyware on there, right? And that could be introduced. Emails. If you're not using official government emails, or you're just expecting a Yahoo or a Gmail that is not really protected, you could be introducing a number of vulnerabilities to the system. And additionally, you could be public facing, which means anyone could take that particular email address, run in a tool like Montego, and start doing a search on everything. This right here, this is just a screenshot of Kali Linux, right? So Kali Linux is an interesting tool as it allows you to do so many things as it relates to offensive security. You can run an attack, a SQL map attack. So SQL is a language, structured query language for databases. You can easily run that attack here using a wizard. You find the PHP vulnerability, you copy and paste it, you hit enter, and it runs. And what it does is it throws everything but the kitchen sink, or you can say, and the kitchen sink, towards a particular website. When it does that, it comes back if it comes back successfully, it'll list everything out for the actual website. It will also show you usernames, accounts, emails that are actually associated with that database. If you allow individuals to apply for jobs on that system, right, it will also have the CVs or the resumes there as well. Now, here's the catch. When you're able to pull information like that, a lot of times people will use passwords. Now, when people use passwords, you can say, all right, well, I know it is person Jane Doe, right? I take Jane Doe, I take her email address, and that password that's provided, I use that password to gain entry. Now, if I don't get entry in the first couple months, not a big deal. I will wait because a number of people will actually recycle passwords. So I just wait a couple months and then I make another attempt. Also, with having the password available, I can figure out maybe an algorithm on how the password was developed. Maybe the password contains something from their childhood, maybe a memory where they lived that, the year they were born. Now, someone was born in 1984. All right. Jane Doe, 1984. Okay. I know that this person was born in 94. Well, yeah, 84. Then I can say, all right, well, maybe I can use that to start to crack the password. There's a particular tool called John the Ripper, and you can do just that. Now, this particular tool is open source, which means it's completely free. Anyone can use this tool, right? Anyone can use this tool out the box. Now, you do have to understand Linux commands, but there's over 200 applications to do reconnaissance, password breaking or cracking, secure communications. There's tools to search the dark web, which is Tor, which is the onion router. So you have that on there. You also have tools like Wireshark, which allow you to look at all the packets that are there on the network. You have Burp Suite, you have Maltego, and there are just a plethora of tools that allow you to do offensive security. And again, these tools don't cost anything. Now, some of the subscriptions they give you, they're called Community Edition, which means they're limited, but you can still accomplish a lot using these tools. And when I mentioned cybersecurity and why you should be concerned, this is free to anybody. So anyone can go online, download this ISO image, or you can use the image in Oracle VirtualBox or VMware, but anyone can do this, which means that in terms of the playing field, everyone has access to the same tools. Now, what is AI? Artificial intelligence is the science of making machines that can think like humans. Right? When we say AI, a lot of people think the Terminator. They think Skynet. They think robots are going to take over the world. It's not that. Well, at least not yet, we hope. Hopefully there's many more moons for something like that occurs. However, it's important to understand that there are positives and negatives to artificial intelligence. And understanding these positives and negatives will allow us to make proper use of this in our particular societies. Now, one of the key things with any technological tool is for the government, for your native government, yours and mine and others, to think about what policies need to be in place before truly adapting these items. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about some government initiatives for artificial intelligence. In the United States, the National Artificial Intelligence Act was put into place in 2020. So investments in artificial intelligence have led to transformative advances now impacting our everyday lives, including mapping technologies, voice-assisted smartphones, handwriting recognition for mail delivery, financial trading, smart logistics, spam filtering, language translation, and much more. AI advances are also providing great benefits to our social well-being in the areas such as precision medicine, environmental sustainability, education, and public welfare. As you can see that AI has truly transformed our society and is transforming other societies. Now, what does this mean? This means that we need legislation that calls for ethical use and also ethical development of these tools. Now, there was an act that was recently signed, and this was in the European Union. The AI Act is a proposed European regulation on artificial intelligence, and it's the first comprehensive regulation on AI by a major regulatory anywhere. The act assigns applications of AI to 3 risk categories. First, applications and systems that can create an unacceptable risk, such as government-run social scoring of the type used in China, are banned. Second, high-risk applications, such as CV scanning tool that ranks job applicants, are subject to specific legal requirements. And then lastly, applications not explicitly banned or listed as high risk are largely left unregulated. When you see this and how they categorize these 3 areas, it's important because these are the things that other nations should follow suit, right? Other nations should follow suit and have items in place that allow the appropriate use of AI and integration into their societies. Now, in the last part, I'm going to talk about AI threats and concerns, and I'll go over these items. This slide here is a high-level slide, and I'm going to talk about just a few of these areas. Job displacement. A lot of individuals are worried about losing their job to AI. Now, I'm not going to lie, there will be some jobs that will be removed. Now, with that said, there'll be new jobs created, right? With the way that society changes, not every job that's here today will be here tomorrow, right? That's just how it is. When you think about the Industrial Revolution, for manufacturing, you think about the internet was, the internet and manufacturing, and now you have just a huge digitalization, Industry 4.0. And so you have to think about, look towards the future. You have bias with AI. And so a lot of people say, hey, AI is not biased. Correction, AI isn't biased, but the person that is creating those LLMs and working on those, after a while, a bias can be created, right? So this could be an issue. When you think about societies that have variances with ethnic groups, in Nigeria, we'll use an example, you have Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Fulanis, Edo, just some of them, right? I know there's many more, but imagine the AI being used to look at CVs. It's picking up things in the CV that allows the AI model to understand, like, oh, we're looking at this individual, they're from Kaduna, they're Muslim. Perhaps we don't want to hire them, or they do want to hire them, right? That's a bias. It's being biased towards that particular CV that they are reviewing. It's a huge issue. You can't have that. Also, deepfakes. It seems that around the globe, younger generation, they are getting a lot of news from social media, right? In my days, we were worried because you had MySpace and Facebook, and people would post items on there, and like, oh, they would take that as the gospel. They would say, oh, this is real. Now imagine someone in their teens and lower, they have a 40-second clip from TikTok telling them, hey, don't vote for this candidate or this is bad for your nation. And they are taking that as real. Even worse, when you think about deep fakes, it is a lifelike representation of the actual figure. So your current president, someone creates a deep fake, hey, don't vote for me, or I'm responsible for this. And then you're inciting violence within a group that saw this deep fake, and they're doing an actionable cause based upon what they think the deep fake is actually telling them to do. They think the deep fake is real. Persuasive AI, when you think about persuasive AI, you could think about chatbots. So imagine your younger child is chatting online, and this chatbot is influencing them to do something, right? Everyone knows that as the individual is younger, it's easier to influence them. The joke or the saying is that it's difficult to teach an old dog new tricks, right? However, if someone's younger, it's easier to say, hey, have you ever thought about this particular possibility? Or you should not do this. And let me tell you why. And so imagine a chatbot slowly influencing a group of youth against the government, against their parents, family, all these things that are near and dear to Nigerian society and culture. Now, weaponization, when you think about weaponization, you could think about unarmed air vehicles, right? Unarmed air vehicles. Sorry, unmanned air vehicles, UAVs. So you think about UAVs and imagine that now they can actually go and identify targets on their own. And here you kind of see a dog. There's an organization called Boston Dynamics. They build a big dog. It's a robotic dog that's able to do a number of tasks on its own, right? You think ethical, you have to think about what are the ethics of AI, and that's what a lot of countries now are beginning to think, like, how do you ethically use this new technology? And then when you think power sinking here, you can see, for example, one country, Russia, they see AI as their ability to move and be, I guess, a global power in the next century, right? So Russia believes that AI would allow them that, but they're not the only country, right? China was focused with 5G, but now they are focused on AI as well. United States, European power. So a lot of countries believe that AI is their way to gain power and to maintain power. And if they don't move towards that, they will lose perhaps their seat at the world table. Now, I do want to thank everybody for listening to this presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And again, it's been a pleasure.